2023 2022 ala 2022 ezidi watatu mwaka 2022. Natumai kwamba uko salama, mamka vizuri. The Sheria Wiki edition of the 25th of March 2022, 25 mwezi wa 3 mwaka 2022. I request that you join in kama kawaida. Please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and after like please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch broadcast. Kama kawaida tuko na Daktari Ekuru Aukot ambaye hii wiki next week is launching his presidential campaign. Nimesikia fununu kama hiyo, sijui kama ni kweli. Naambia nimesikia fununu. Na tuko na Ndung'u Wanaina Costa Racas the other day online. It's the second time on the show. He's tell us what he'll be fighting with the government, They're looking here like na kupigana na serikali bwana. Haya. Sawa, nijeni please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And like please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is the tackle and it begins right now. Lakini kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu basi tukirudi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. Thank you for the week that has been. We thank you for this program. We thank you for the conversation that we're about to have. We thank you for the tackles as they join in. May you meet them at their point of individual needs. We pray trusting and believing. Amen. Haya. Yeah, Daktari Ekuru anasemanga tunaombanga alafu tukimaliza tunaanza matusi immediately. Tunachelewangi hata kidogo.
Typical Kenya. Tunachelewangi. Kwanza msimu wa siasa. Unasema tuende mbele za Mungu. Baada ya hapo kiingia kwa jukwaa, unasema wewe ni ng'ombe, sijui ni kubafu.
Sasa wewe ni mshenzi kabisa. Haya. Sawa, labda niangalie ngano wageni wameweza kuamka sasa hivi mapema asubuhi. Naona kuna ngano tayari hapa kidogo, acha niangalia ani hapa. Haya. Sasa zile nalo waje nilipe madeni, naona ina hang kidogo. Nalo nilipe madeni. Rex Roofing inakupa nafasi ya kuweza nyumba yako nje shwari zaidi. If you are building and you are looking for roofing materials, you can only trust Rex Roofing to make it happen for you. Rex Roofing are suppliers of quality roofing materials, roofing solutions, quality roofing shingles, stone coated tiles, UPVC, water harvesting, gutters. Na pia wanakupa waterproofing membranes, APP waterproofing membrane ama waterproofing liquids, waterproofing solutions. You're only from Rex Roofing. Rex Roofing, visit them www.rexroofing.com. ama wapigie simu 7046466664 or 7046466664. Rex Roofing roofs your wall, and we're still giving you a 3% off. We're giving you 3% off courtesy of the tackle. Kimbia pale useme tumekutuma kutoka hapa kwenye tackle, unaweza kupewa 3% off if you're building. That's the only place that you can trust to get the best roofing solutions. Rex Roofing roofs your wall. We're giving you two types of guarantees. One guarantee is a ownership guarantee. We're telling you that if we roof your house, we do the installation, we supply and do the installation. We are giving you a workmanship guarantee of 10 years. This is what we say, that if anything happens to your roof within the 10 years that you've roofed your house, you'll always be there to ensure that your roof is looking as new as it was on the first day. And we're giving you another product guarantee of 50 years. I don't know where you'll be in the next 50 years, but I can guarantee you that your roof will still be there with you, standing strong. Rex Roofing, only from Rex Roofing, and we're getting you 3% off courtesy of the tackle. Come up here. Why should you be in a dirty place? Kwa nini ukae mahali pachafu wakati kuna clean space? What you do in a dirty place when you have clean space? Clean space cleaners, professional cleaners ensures that your commercial places and even your home na mambo ya ambao unatumia kama ni viti kama ni nini, na kisha kwamba iko kwa njia shwari zaidi. Clean space iko pale Karen Professional Center first floor. Mwapigie simu kwa nambari 0790606794 or 79006794. Clean space professional cleaners, seat carpet and upholstery cleaning, pest control and fumigation, landscaping services, gardening to corporates and hotels. That is clean space. Wapigie simu alafu basi mambo yanaweza kuwa safi zaidi. Unapata discount yako safi pia kutoka hapa kwenye tackle. Pigia simu 0790606794 amweze ku visit their website at www.cleanspace.co.ke for the best services. Tenda pale useme tukutuma alafu mambo yako inakuwa shwari zaidi. Fumigation services, acid and carpet upholstery cleaning, landscaping, pest control, na pia mambo ya gardening to corporates. Haya, baadaye ndio hiyo. Na pia keep recharging. Keep telling you that kimbia pale masokoni unaweza kupata recharge safi zaidi. Recharge hour from the house of Tempter.
Mbona niwe tupia vile na recharge bwana? Kwani sisi hatuhitaji ku recharge?
Nini watoto wa watu inakuja. Haya, disco ya pia pale Eldoret. Najua hata Daktari Ekuru hapa ni customer. Ni customer wa disco. Ni customer wa disco.
Kule jamaa anataka viatu.
Tumianga viatu. Hiyo sasa kwa pale Eldoret, ukikimbia pale Ketra building 4th floor, unaweza kupata ukisha kwamba dandana na kungarisha kwa njia shwari zaidi. Hata president hapa, he dresses the president. Dandana na address the president. Daktari Ekuru quote.
Those shoes are dope.
Shoes viatu zimesimama.
Safi.
Imestand kabisa.
Kabisa ngozi origi.
Kabisa. Nakwambia hata unavaa unasikia kitu legit, ngozi legit. Yaani ng'ombe amechinjwa ama ngamia amechinjwa saa hiyo.
Nini hata kama ni ya punda lakini ni viatu mzuri, design safi.
Review yako unaona imekuwa ikaa namna gani? Umeona review yako ya mali yake iko aje?
Iko safi. And we should encourage Kenyan businesses. Yeah. But you see, Bitok, I've said many times, one of the things that we have not done in this country is to exploit our the opportunities we have. For example, while I want to support our friend in Eldoret in supplying my shoewear, but we can make these things here in Kenya. In the northern part of Kenya where I come from, we have millionaires who have got thousands of cows. If we can turn those cows when we do meat production, proper meat production, then we do a value to the byproducts, the skin, the hooves. So we can have our own buttons from this country. We can have our own shoes, handbags, bells, so we don't have to import. And that will be growing our own local economies using our own materials that we have. And therefore we can, and I saw that in India. When I went once in India, there is what they call, you buy the best merchandise in India from what they call government shops. If it is like marts, whatever. So government has encouraged local production. And then it has opened shops where you can actually go and shop at very reasonable prices, including just clothes. So we should go that way, and that's the only way we can industrialize and we can develop using our own skills and talents.
Talking about which, what happened to our leather industry? Because it was booming sometime back where I come from. There is a place where they call it tanning, and they call it tanning because they used to plant a lot of wattle trees, for the purpose of tanning leather. Even in a Three River, we used to have a very big tanning factory. Yes. What happened to our leather industry?
Not just our leather industry. Many industries in Kenya were killed. I mean, you can talk about the milk industry, the cotton industry, the Kikomis and the rest, the Ever Ready. I mean, the list is so long. Many of them were just killed because of bad governance, because of lack of strategic political leadership in the country that will fail to exploit the opportunities that our country needs to build a stronger economy. I mean, if you are not very careful, it's just that because somebody is making good money out of it. We look at our tea industry, for example. We don't really refine our tea with some finality. Instead, our tea goes in sacks, in gunias to the UK, comes back as English tea, when we should actually be refining it here. And let's call it Kenyan tea. I mean, let the world know that Kenya is a producer of tea. The same thing goes for coffee and many other things. It has now gone into natural resources. For example, in Kwale, we're actually exporting raw materials out of Kwale. Kwale should be the capital county of Theomin mining.
Yes.
Just like now we should be developing the oil in Turkana. Let Turkana be the capital. I mean, the Texas of Kenya.
Na Ekima ilienda tour bwana. Iko maraundi nasikia ilienda tour.
Mafuta.
Ekima.
Akimet.
Nasikia ilienda tour bwana ijarudi. Haya kabla sijakuja kwako Ndung'u. Niangalie ngona kinaona umeamka hapa.
Reasons there are a number of reasons we should be able to run. One, as a country we became net importer.
A warehouse economy.
Literally. Our economy ceased to be production economy. It became a consumer economy, and consumption is not local. Our consumption is what we literally import, right?
Okay.
And that's one. Two is that we used to be a very strategic production hub and exporter to our region. If you look at Uganda, Tanzania, DRC, all these countries used to depend, up to today, if you look at the net trade, our single largest trade partners are Uganda, these countries around us. And I hope that you can open up the Ethiopia market, because that's another big market, and DRC market. Yeah. But unfortunately, you find that we became a net commodity exporter. Anything you have, you export. Talk about in any form. So, as you have correctly pointed out, we pack our tea in sacks from Dune, and that's it. But there's a very interesting lesson coming from the United States of America. United States of America became just exactly like Kenya. And COVID taught them the hardest way. because they outsourced their production. So they could not even get basic medical supply home, just like silage, needles. They didn't have at all. They literally realized that they killed their industrial and innovation. So they do very good work in innovation.
And then they outsource.
Then they outsource the production.
Production.
Right? So they decided that also ourselves, let's take our production in China or the Pacific countries, and then as we just be getting our final product. What that did, it killed jobs in the US. It closed factories. It is actually completely killed production, whether it is any sector. But it's not that they were not doing innovation. For the last 2 terms, the Trump, when he talked about America First, and now Biden, if you look at what these guys have done, they have insisted it got to be made here. We revive our factories, we revive our agriculture, we revive the entire of our production. We are going to compete with the world, but we will never again depend with the world. We will become the suppliers to the world. Now, something also that I think we got to think, and sometimes I find it very hard to figure out what really is the mess with us. China will never again be the world factory. COVID made it practical. It is not going to be. So new frontiers of production hubs are coming up. India, for instance, have taken up now production of medical supplies, vaccines, and all that. You find countries like Bangladesh, they are now almost becoming overwhelming producers of apparel in the world.
Bangladesh.
You know, if you come to Indonesia, I'm very happy that Kenyan embassy decided to open embassy in Indonesia. You know, all these countries, there's something you have seen that is now being called the Indo-Pacific region. It's becoming the global. It's being called the 21st century world region, because that's going to be the main hub for production. Kenya is lucky you happen to be part of this Indo-Pacific region by dint of the fact that you are part of the Indian Ocean boundary. You know, so strategically the question should be able to be asking ourselves, how can we exploit this shift of production in the world and make Kenya one of the centers, one of the hubs of production? Because that's a real thing, and that will change our dynamics. It does not just change in terms of creating jobs, reviving our sectors and all that. And I'll give you an example. I have always asked the people, the county governments of Kwale and Taita Taveta and Mombasa and Pashiri Kilifi, why you guys have mass of RAD, both for agriculture, but also you are in a very strategic place just next to the port. Why have we never built massive import, export, repackaging, just like the way most countries do? I remember I gave that idea to the former governor of Taita Taveta. I said, you guys, your advantage, you have water. Yes, you have massive of water, clean water. You have access to
railway. Walking right from there.
Yes, you have access to railway. You are next to the port. You have everything. Why can't you have the RAD? Why can't we make Taita Taveta one of the single largest hubs of production? You can bring Koreans and help them set up a electronic production here. You know, whether you are going to do the real production here or you are going to bring in assembly and then you export. You do what you call import, repackage or reprocess, and then export. Or you just do the real production locally. You do the manufacturing, the production, and then you export. And it's very cheap because the port is just next there. In terms of distance of cost, it's almost negligible.
You see, Wanaina, what you are raising, you're raising very fundamental questions about how do you ensure that a country prospers economically, socially, and even politically. It's a question of leadership. Leadership, right from the political to even the business, the business community. You see, for example, it questions the kind of leadership and stewardship that we have in Africa, not just Kenya. Because, for example, why would a country like, a city like Antwerp in Belgium be the the global capital of minerals and gold. Yet there is no single gold from Belgium. But see, they harvest from Africa mainly, DRCs and the rest. But they style it that now it's Antwerp that is the capital city of this gold. Netherlands, that is the capital city of flowers, of distribution of flowers, which flowers mainly is actually grown from Kenya. So that brings questions around our own leadership, political leadership and also economic leadership in this country, or business leadership in Kenya. You see, what we have done over the years, Bitok, is that we have reduced our people to just be laborers. You know? So their business is just to harvest these minerals, these flowers, this tea and coffee, and that is it. That is the skill we have given them, quote unquote the skill. To just go and toil, wake up in the morning, I don't know what time of the night, pluck those whatever, and then put it in sacks. Then you take it back to these capitals in the Europe, where now the real skill in producing the final product, that we are denying our people that opportunity. That if we are to finish our products here, we'll not only have laborers, but we'll have skilled labor. How to refine and cut those golds, those diamonds into the final thing. So it's a whole chain of economic development that we are actually cutting short by just guys from the field, harvesting whatever product it is, and then it's shipped away. So for me, it's a question of strategic leadership.
And also, actually, one of the most interesting thing about this country is that, and this is a question I always raise with the people in private sector, whether in manufacturing or where. Why is it that the private sector in this country, whether it is in a business, whether it's in banking, why is it that they're so beholden to politics? Why is it that this whole question about patronage, and I can tell you this, Bitok, and Kenyans need to know this. If today something drastic happened to our financial markets, the economy of this country will just collapse. Do you know why? Our single largest holder of government bills, treasury bills and bonds, the real debt is owned by banks. Suppose something happens.
That's so true.
We will not be different from where America was in the financial crisis of 2008. And our economy is so small, such that if such an eventuality happens, suppose even today government defaults, what will be the consequence? And two is that, why is it that our business, our private sector, or banking does not invest in innovation, the startups, the growth of our own, ingenuity in generation of ideas? Yes, Kenya doesn't have short of ideas. Kenyans have a lot of ideas, massive ideas. Some of the biggest producers, some of the biggest brains in the world, you find them all over, are Kenyans, right? So why is it that we have never found our home for investment in this production? Every day, I check, I'm an avid follower of technology and how it evolves and how it is growing. Every day, I'm seeing small ideas. And I'll give you an example. Yourself here, you're an inventor.
Yes.
You just decided that I don't need a big facility. I don't need a... And you see what? Because of that innovation of yours, you have created a space where not just having a dialogue among Kenyans, but also equally, you have given a space for other challenge to many other Kenyans who should be able to become like you, But I haven't seen that kind of investment that now people say, actually, Bitok has this great idea. How can we invest in it?
Yes.
How do we grow it? It is not just about the studio here. It's about other ideas that generate here. It becomes a big thing. So we should be able to be asking our private sector, where are you? Why is this thing about political patronage? Because that's essentially every political capital or every private sector want to be associated more with government.
Yes.
You're not, where others in the world all over, you find that the private sector is extremely robust. It is standing on its own legs. It actually challenges government policies and all that. And I'll give you an example. Kenya has one of the most punitive and competitive tax code. It is extremely difficult in this country for you to be able to say, I'm starting a business today, and within the next 2 years, it is still standing. It will be dead.
Societal.
we have one of the most, I repeat, one of the most punitive and competitive tax code in this country. Such that today, if you look at, go and ask the guys who do the business registration, they will tell you this. Every business registered today in Kenya, many of them within the end of the first 2 years, either that business has closed or is about to become redundant. So in 5 businesses started within 5 years, most likely you only be having one surviving. And most likely it will be surviving on its knees. And that's a fact. So why is it that we make ourselves completely uncompetitive globally? Right? And we make it so such that people, instead of coming here to come and invest here, you literally chase people away. I can ask you, how long did it take you just to set up as something small like this and make it, it took you a lot of the things you are required to meet. Now leave alone the taxations, the certificates, the clearances you need. You find in a single way, by the time you are being now allowed to operate, you find that it will take you almost like 20 certificates or clearances.
A lot of stress.
A lot of stress. Leave alone payments you have to make. And I want to close this, with this point. I made an observation. I sat down with some wazungus and we are discussing some ideas I have around things to do with all these things about freedom from fear, freedom from want, freedom to live with human dignity. We were just discussing. And I was telling them this is how the new world is shifting. The focus of human beings and needs have really significantly shifted. So we should start now thinking outside the normal discourse of human rights and all that, and move and bring people at the center, the human at the center of the discussion. And one interesting thing they did, they listened and they found that idea to be very interesting. I decided, let me go to the registrar of companies, and I decided let me go and register this idea of mine so that I can have it done. We left at the same time. That was about 3 years ago. These guys they go back. In fact, they come from America. Within 1 month, they had already registered an organization of the same idea I had. I can tell you this, and I can bet mine has never been cleared. Mpaka sahi. And I can tell you this for free. Those guys will come from US. See, they have their already. They'll come here. They apply now for that organization to be incorporated now in Kenya, to operate in Kenya. But whose idea was it?
Your idea.
I know before we go to the main question, also you see matters economy are very important, even as we discuss matters Sheria and illegal. But people also have to be very comfortable, economically in a country to be able to think about other issues. Let me share an experience with tacklers. That, in 2017, I had some prospective clients who came from South Korea. And they wanted to set up what they call the Las Vegas of Africa. And they wanted to build a smart city in some of the remotest parts of this country. I'm talking about billionaires in US dollars. And so one of the things that they wanted a gaming license, but they wanted to do a proper gaming, properly licensed. But together with it was coming with a smart city. So I was asking him, okay, I didn't know about gaming. I didn't know it's one of the biggest global businesses. Yes. When I looked at it, only pornography beats gaming, by the way. It's second to pornography. And people can check it out. So I was shocked. I said, I didn't know it's such a big thing, especially in Southeast Asia and all those countries. And then they gave me an example of how do you think Las Vegas became Las Vegas, what it is today, where you've got these billionaires in their private jets flying in and just, doing gaming and then go back to their countries. So they say, we want to set up something like that in Kenya. And we want some of the remotest parts of Kenya. And of course, I told them, well, there's the entire northern part of Kenya, which does not even have infrastructure. I said, don't worry, that will be fixed. Once we have land, and we have got the proper license. Do you know some funny fellow from government who I approached to help us with the licenses? Ndung'u, you can't believe this. The guy demanded 50% of the business from my prospective clients.
50%?
50%. So I called him aside and I asked him, justify for me why you need 50% or even 1%, because these are guys who want to set up a huge business, a multi-billion business in US dollars that will create job opportunities for our people, that will open up some of our remote parts. Wow. You can imagine the infrastructure. You can imagine the relocation. Because a smart city is a city on its own. And this guy did not give me any answer. My guys just jumped on the plane and left.
What did he say? What's the reason? He never said anything.
He had none. Says tunawasaidia. Basically, it's just corruption. Theft.
50% of a business you not invested even a single shilling.
I say, what a shameless fellow. I was so disgusted. I felt so embarrassed for our country that we've lost an opportunity that will have created millions of jobs actually and big money in this country and open up some of the most remotest parts. You can imagine if we set up this smart city, say in Chalbi Desert, because Las Vegas was a desert, or some parts of North NFD. Oruko, Turkana, with the border of Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Uganda. You can imagine the transformation that will have caused.
And the opening up
today,
of the economy.
One of the must-visit places many people when they go to the US is Las Vegas. It was just a desert. But the greed in our people, the greed in our government, in people in government, denies Kenyans opportunities. Anyway, I think we have said enough of them. Matters economy.
And we want to cry, but now we cry later. Simon Bed, good morning. Good morning to you, Marion Evachala. Good morning. Nikaret City Cabanas, Daniel Sante Sada Marion. Edwin Koko, good morning. Looking forward to great show. Thank you, Kagi Faith. Good morning. Watching from Isiolo. Aya, Toka Thika. Lilian Nyambura watching from the Hills of Hulu. Good morning. Good morning to you, Lilian Nyambura. Langa Geoffrey, good morning. Kisumu iko sawa. Santa Rohati Kisumu. Daniel Kore, good morning. Jera, we are on Santa Sana. Dan. Captain Sang, good morning. Team Tackle together we are. Kanisha CK, good morning. Good morning to you, my brother. Ravi Reista, good morning. Ketur Kipori Alexi Ekuru should join Kenya Kwanza. Aya, tatuambia. Ariamba Job, good morning. Bitok watching from Kabarnet Road, Nairobi. Asante sana jirani.
The reason being
sababu. Wameuliza sababu. Wixlin Migiro watching from Sameta Kisii. Asante sana tu Kisii. Felix Ochieng watching from Kapenguri. Asante Kabon Sara. Good morning. Good morning to you. Lucy Jessa. Hi, I'm falling from Colorado Springs, UDA. Asante sana Lucy Jessa. Balozi Eric Benja logged in. Asante Kitur Kipkorir Alexi from Kericho. Noni Belem so anasema tuned in from CBD. It has been a crazy week for me and the tackle always calms me down. Hallelujah. We thank the Lord for you. Ndung'u, Wanaina and Dr. Ekuru are absolutely rich in info. Indeed, this nation ought to be the regional production hub because the potential and economic opportunity is literally screaming at us to grab it. I agree with you. Just Ozil Mwangi Daniel Kore, Mr. Bitok, where did Lucia go? She was a great tackler. Lucia yuko anakimbizana na mambo zingine pia pale nje. Mustafa Erickson anasema azimie tosha. Haya basi tushasikia mambo zenu. Habari ndio hiyo. Before you go into the issues of the day, on the nation today, on the headlines of the nation, I think Nation today, of all the times, of all the newspapers, it has a proper headline.
I've not seen those headlines.
Yeah.
It says, do they even care? Huh? Do they even care? President anaangalianga gazeti asubuhi.
Wacha nikwambie. For a long time I was so discouraged even reading our Kenyan news because it was preoccupied with personalities and building people's personalities even amidst a pandemic, for example, amidst problems that Kenyans were going through. So I thought my best source of information was actually social media. I want to see what is trending. I go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But yes, I think I like that headline today. Do they even care? And this is this should. I applaud the nation for such a. But what is the content? Let's read the content.
And the content is: do they even care? They put in a picture of a deputy president, William Ruto. They put in Uhuru Kenyatta. They put in Raila Odinga. The three principles. In short, children of a lesser God. The nation is staring at the humanitarian crisis of monumental proportions in the lowlands of Baringo, where bandits roam every night. The combined effects of drought and insecurity have robbed thousands of their livelihoods, while millions across the country can barely afford to put a meal on the table every day. The cost of living is rising, and agriculture is battered by the rising cost of inputs. Yet there appears to be no political will to stop this descent into anarchy. In this special report, the Daily Nation is asking leaders who are spending hundreds of millions of shillings on the campaign trail every month a simple question: do you
not every
even
month, every
care?
Week and every day? And look at the
look
at the
care?
Image of that.
And there's an image of a Kenyan here, I believe almost dying of hunger. She's dressed in a Kenyan flag. I mean, it's a shame.
Yes,
Dressed in a Kenyan flag.
We have 3.5
And this is the
million
state of the
Kenyans,
nation.
as we're speaking,
Uh-huh.
3.5 million Kenyans who are facing starvation. 3.5 million Kenyans. We have close to about 1.7 million livestock. You're just going to die, perish.
And you know, we talk in our budgetary allocations. We have a department called Disaster Management and Preparedness. We don't. I mean, in other countries of the world that really care about their citizen, and I like that headline, by the way. In other countries that really care about their citizen, you will now see the Disaster Management and Preparedness Department active. You will see its image. You see the people out there. You will see them saying that, well, we have this budget, we are raising more, like this and that, but we don't hear that in Kenya. Money is allocated to these parastatals, wherever they are, these departments, for people to steal. And this is why, this is the only thing, for a long time I agree with President Uhuru, that 2 billion is stolen every day. Some people have said, no, that's not true, because that figure does not reflect what we are in the economy. But it could be right, because if you had it together with what we are borrowing and what we are not accounting for, it's possible.
So we have this. For me, it's very grim, and it's very. It is not just a question about do they care. It's about what sort of a country are we? Which country are we? You know, and this is what I say, and part of what you asked me, what was the fight between me and many people. We have reduced our contest to be contest between private interests over public good.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that. We have reduced our country to be the theater, not of human dignity, self-well-being, self-fulfilling life, an assurance tomorrow, there is tomorrow, to a country where we have literally repurposed our state, our resources, our institutions to serve private interests. Beyond that, there is nothing for you. So the question then becomes, is this how we want to move on? Is this a country we want to keep? Then what will happen? And let me tell you, this. Look at the situation in your county, Turkana, Baringo, West Pokot, Saburu. They are all neighbors, and Regio Marakwet, which was affected. Look at that crisis that has been going there. It is the problem there. If you wanted to sort out that problem, you can sort that problem within one budget. One. What do you need? You need to open up that place, build schools, build roads, support agriculture, support livestock rearing, put hospitals, make sure that there is enough water. That area has a lot of water, which just goes to waste, right? Harvest the whole of that water, then ask the question, what will be people fighting over?
Well, Ndung'u.
That's one. Two, look at the entire of our northern Kenya, from Tana River all the way to West Pokot. If you go there, there are 14 counties. And more specifically, if you look at Garissa, Tana River, Garissa, Wajir, Marsabit, and Madera, education ended, collapsed, and forgotten. Right? Teachers moved out of that place. The local population tried to mobilize their own to try and whether they can salvage classes for their kids. Kids left. This is one of the region with the highest illiteracy level in this country. Actually, it's more than 85%. Right? Now, when you look at that, you sit back and ask, where should we be putting our entire resources, our entire thinking to put our country forward? And I'll give you an example. Did you know Marsabit is about 67 square kilometers, 67,000 square kilometers. It's the second after Turkana. And Marsabit has more than 25,000 square kilometers that receives an annual rainfall of more than 1,000 millimeters. which means you can take the entire of the 5 counties of the former central province, 5, you put them in there, they fit, and they still remain with another big rad, which is arable, with purely rain-fed agriculture. But who are the first people to receive relief? The people in Marsabit.
Okay, you are saying something.
So, I was saying, no, Wanaina, those are the aftermaths of 2 things that I think are the solution to the problems in northern Kenya and many parts of Kenya that have been neglected. Number 1, coming from the north myself, one of our biggest problems is insecurity. If we can just fix security in those areas, people there are millionaires and multimillionaires in terms of their livestock possession. Number 2, with devolution, we need a government that can actually follow the shilling, the billions of money that goes there, and to try and establish how is this money being spent and for what. We've not followed that money. So in other words, what's happening in the northern part of Kenya, we are talking about an absentee government. So when you talk about things like education, that teachers have left. So where is TSC? Why is TSC? Why are teachers leaving Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, when we have got a government institution called Teacher Service Commission? We have got a Ministry of Education. We have got a cabinet. We have got a president who, during electioneering time, went around those countries asking for votes. So what we are talking about here, Bitok, is we are dealing with an absentee government. And for us in the north, if only security can be fixed, and of course, to come with the infrastructure, especially road infrastructure, or what we call maybe communication generally, you know, and then of course now, a government being present and actually being mindful of people, being responsive to people's problems. The north does not have to. We do not need relief food. You know,
you can feed yourself.
It's our own government that is actually dehumanizing our people. Because Wanaina, nobody can go and set up an industry in Wajir, in Turkana, in Mandera, in Marsabit, with the kind of insecurity that is there, with the kind of poor road infrastructure that is there, you know, with the lack of communication there. So these are facilitative factors for any investor. And coupled with what you said earlier, Wanaina, which is, you know, the heavy taxation. There is no investor that can survive heavy taxation. Surety that if I invest my money, you know, there will be returns. And then, of course, corruption. How long it takes, for example, to conclude court cases, you know, in our courts. That is a factor, by the way, many people do not think actually affects, they think it's a distant factor. You know, governance, basically this goes into the realm of governance. You have got to have speedy conclusion of disputes in courts of law, especially if it's commercial disputes and even others. That is what will encourage investment. You know, Rwanda and Uganda have ripped from the tourism sector just because of gorillas. Gorillas. Just gorillas too. The mountain gorillas. And what do those governments do? For example, in Rwanda, you want to set up a hotel in the mountains? Kagame will ensure there is a road to your facility. And that attracts tourism. I've met many people who just say they want to go and just watch the gorillas. Just sit and watch gorillas for like hours. And that is an economy on its own. But in this country, we have so much opportunity. All we just lack is stewardship.
Okay.
This is the point, Ekuru, and this will remain the point. Until the day in Kenya, politics is business. Politics is not about service. Politics is not about people. Politics is not about the well-being of this country. People venture into the state offices. The guy you have just talked about, the one who made your Korean crayons go. That is purely what you call a bureaucratic killing of investment. This is civil service, the character of your civil service you have. And you must say it clearly. One of the biggest impediments of growth and development in this country is the character of the civil service we have. It is not service-oriented. It has one of the worst work ethics. If you look at its culture, the way it is, and how it looks at an office. An office, even when you hold a public office, you know, me, I grew up in 70s, right? In the 80s, where, particularly let me talk about 70s. in fact, I can talk up to mid-80s. And I talk that about because I had an experience of a compound fracture. That's when I realized how efficient a public health service, just a mere public hospital, everything I needed was available at no cost. Right? Whether it is plaster, anything. The functioning of a public health, when I used to, even you could admire.
Yes.
You feel comfortable, you feel safe. You feel if you are going to a school, you know, in a public primary school or public secondary school, was so prestigious, you know, that kind of a thing. What about today? We privatized our own institutions. We privatized our education. We privatized our health. We privatized our food. We privatized everything. Actually, anything nowadays is looked from a money perspective. It is no longer about the human.
It's business.
It's not about the human dignity, the human freedoms, the well-being of our people. It is about business.
What is in it for me?
And Aukot, I can tell you this, and I really look forward to you launching a presidential candidate next week. Just ask yourself a simple question. How much does an MCA earn on average?
I think 150. But after taxation
and all that,
yes, I think it's less than what, like 70 or 80.
Then add allowances. Maybe they have allowances and other things. So if you give that guy an average of a net average of say like 200,000 or between 200 and 300,000.
I think those are the CECs. MCAs, I think, unless.
Unless.
I don't know.
Then let me ask you a question. Why would that guy spend between 5 to 10 million for a seat?
Campaigning.
Yeah.
How? How?
You know,
it's a very simple question.
You know, and as we have said in this show many times, when it comes to Kenyan politics, witchcraft is real.
There is something you call return on investment.
Exactly.
So how in your own way, how do these guys return their money? How can an MP or a governor, for that matter, spending close to about a governor spends almost 2 billion to how in the first place, how do you raise that money?
I'll tell you how they get back their money in Wanaina. Because you just need to look at the Auditor General report and the failure to account for millions of Kenya shillings.
And you'll find the money.
Into billions of Kenya shillings. So they go into this tenderpreneuring, cutting deals. I remember there's a client, I will not disclose from which county. There's a client who came to me and said that he had won a tender for 50 million to do some infrastructure. And he was paid this cash, 50 million cash. Once he got the LPO, he got 50 million paid to him cash. But the following morning, a guy was knocking on his door and saying, we want half of that, 25 million. And this is a guy who was running a legitimate business, really wanted to have some continuity in this county. So he really cracked his head hard. And he decided, well, if I say no, I'm looking into the future. And he confessed to me. He came to me and told me, listen, I'm coming to you as a lawyer. And this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have done. I'm going to give out, I've already given out half of that money, the 50 million, but I'm not going to do the work. And I want you to be ready to defend me. Because I want to grow my business. But I've won this tender genuinely. Yes, I've been given the money in advance. And I really wanted to build this facility. But they have come and taken 50%.
What will I build?
So what will I do with 25 million? Which, if I buy the material, I will not be able to finish the product. That will be a dent on my company, on my business. I can't even have any return on my investment. So he said, you know what, Ekuru, I'm going to keep this money. Because these people are just stolen the money. If they come after me, please, I need you to defend me, and I'm ready to take the stand and say the truth.
Lakini jamaa alisema atameza
money. So that's why they are not worried about, and you see, Wanaina, one of the most lucrative businesses in Kenya is to investigate corruption. You have stolen 100 million, then a funny fellow whose paycheck is maybe 20,000 a month.
He's sent to investigate you.
He's sent to investigate me. I do a cost-benefit analysis. I look at this man and say, what's your salary? 20,000. Here is $1 million. I will take $1 million and go. And I keep 99 million.
Talking about wage.
That is what's happening in Kenya.
Ekuru, that is why in this country, the single largest rich people in this country are either a civil servant, people who have served in civil service all their lives. 2, they have been in politics for long. 3, they have been in police, security, or they have been in courts.
Yes.
Right? The other people...
They don't even need their salary, by the way.
No. Those 5, if you ask,
just need to get there.
Yes.
You'll get your money back.
And that brings us to one question. Should we not make it a choice? You are either in government doing service to the people, or you are in private business. You get,
Can't be in between.
You get my point?
No. We are now going closer to the theme of this talk, which is called Sheria Wiki. If you look at chapter 6 of the Kenya Constitution, it must be article 79, if I'm not wrong. We have actually separated the 2 issues. We have said once you are in public service, you cannot be in other, what is the terminology? I'm using the term. Basically,
conflict of interest.
you cannot hand another a salary.
Or an income.
And in an income when you're in the public service.
Yes.
And that takes me to the other issue, Bitok, even as we talk about corruption in our country, from a legal point of view, and I know we've said this many times. I think one of the things that we need to do in Kenya going forward, Ndung'u, is that let's stop using this word corruption.
Call it theft.
It is theft.
Wheezy.
It is theft. Okay. Let's disband EACC. Let's disband this what is called this court, Economic Crimes Court, because they don't serve any purpose anymore. What I want us to do is, once we redefine corruption as theft, because once we give you Ndung'u and Ena money to build a hospital, a school, and you cannot account for that money, you have stolen that money.
It's basically
there is a law, a sufficient law in this country, the penal code, the criminal procedure code, that should charge you as a thief. And as a thief, we try you within the law that exists. All these Economic Crimes Act, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, were created to facilitate theft of public money. We don't need them. All we need is to pick the Auditor General report and say, Ndung'u, as a governor of County X, we have given you a chance, 6 months, to account for this money. We've sent you auditors. We have sent you a letter of management. You have not been able to say exactly where this money went from. So this money was stolen. Let's not call it corruption or whatever you want to call it. We reduce it to a simple theft of public resources, theft of public money. We charge you as a thief, because there should be no difference between you who is in charge of money for development and a chicken thief. You can see the kind of punishment that is meted to small time thieves, as opposed to people who actually are in charge of billions but who cannot account for it. And because we have decided, why can't we call a chicken thief also a corrupt thief?
Call corruption, yeah. A corrupt citizen.
Because when you take away my chicken, you have denied me my economic investment. My chicken is my economic investment. That's my business.
If
I rear chicken,
all thieves are equal.
What thieves are equal?
Let me tell you something. This is a real thing. In 1989, former South African President Thabo Mbeki realized one thing. His government was going to collapse. Why? Because the single largest thieves were his own ministers, his own civil servants, everybody, including his own deputy president, Jacob Zuma. Right? So he said, you know what? We must stop all this nonsense. We got to fix it now. If we don't fix it, we are done. And you see, he was looking at the country from the perspective that the level of inequality was just too much. Lack of housing, water, education, coming from upper lane and all that. So he needed to marshal all the resources so that he completely seals off loss, linkage of any money, so that you can direct those resources to schools, house, on water, to the local communities. So what this guy did is that he said, you police, you are part of the problem. You, the office of the national prosecutor and who, you are part of the problem. You judges, you're also part of the problem. So what Mbeki did is a very simple thing. He he passed something called, it's a law. Initially it was like a presidential decree. It was within the police. But now he picked, it's like the best within that. Then he created a special, it's called Special Operations, Special Crimes Operations Unit. It was popularly known as Scorpions. He told, then after that, then a law was passed to anchor it in the law, but it was within the police. But now it is like, they had the investigator like ourselves, we have the DCI, you have the normal police, you have all this. So these guys...
And that's one of the departments actually nailed Zuma.
Actually, what is this guy? They were given a very simple job. Your work is to deal with high-level corruption and organized crime in government. And including myself, you have freedom to go for anyone, including myself. But I am giving you a timeline. You must clean the mess in the government. Scorpion went for everybody. And everybody. He himself, he found himself because he got himself linked to some of the crimes they were tracing. This guy pinned down everybody. That's how Zuma got himself where he is. Yes. He's facing 283 corruption-related cases. That's the entire. The Scorpion dismantled the whole of that system, right? Do you know what? These guys had conviction rate of between 90 and 95%. Conviction rate. Then they went for all the property. They went for everybody. So there was no debate. And mark you, these guys did not even have powers like the one our DCI have. Yes. Or the powers our EACC have. No. Ours have so much advanced legal system and safeguards. But they delivered the results. Do you know what happened? When the politicians in the ANC realized we are all fixed, they woke up one day and called a special ANC to not only remove Tambo Beki, but also to disband the Scorpions. So that, for the first time, brought out who are the real owners of stealing in public.
So the point there, Bitok, is this. To transform a country, sometimes you do not need a multitude.
No.
You need the power of one.
Goodwill.
Yeah? Okay. The power of one. Here you are the Scorpions in South Africa enjoying the support of the highest office in the land.
And the public, because the public supported them.
So you had the president saying, you have my unwavering support. Go after everyone, incling myself.
Do you think it's going to happen in Kenya?
In Ghana,
there are a lot of glass houses.
In Ghana, when Jerry Rawlings took over the government through a coup, one of the problems that had bedeviled Ghana for the longest time was theft of public resources, corruption. And what Jerry Rawlings did, he did, of course, a very horrific act. He paraded the people, he formed the opinion that they were corrupt. Ministers, at that high level, not the ordinary man, took them by the beach in Accra and shot all of them in public. And Ghana has never gone back to theft of public resources. So I think in this country, we may need a drastic action. So, power of one can bring change in a country. Just like Wanaina has ably described what Thabo Mbeki did. And today, we are talking about a president in South Africa who actually served jail.
Yes.
He went to jail.
He's still in jail.
Bada go jela?
Yes.
No, actually on medical...
No.
He went back?
No, he went back. Well, actually, what he did...
There's a time they released him on medical.
No, they released him.
But
then the court demanded they be given the medical report.
Yes.
Actually, the court was satisfied that actually Zuma was using medical as an excuse to run away from.
They took him back.
They took him back.
So you see,
they have just released the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into state capture. Zuma is among those to be prosecuted.
So, moral of the story, Bitok. Our country is the conundrum it is right now because of bad leadership.
Bad leadership.
There's no two way about it. Because even the laws we talk, the Sharias we talk about in this show, cannot be implemented if people at the very top don't care about the law. I mean, like the nation said, do they even care? Yeah.
Do they even care? Collins Collins Biswasike, good morning. Good morning to you. Jessica Contractors, good morning. Be talk tuned in from Eldoret. Asante. Gidi keeps my friend, the issue of banditry should no longer be termed the way that is terrorism. Watching from Corner Supermarket Mereweta. Asante sana watu wa nyumbani. Oscar De Williams, good morning Bitok. Watching live from Narok. The show is late. Asante sana Oscar. Ngiza Peter, hi Bitok. Let Ekuru join Kenya Kwanza and share his ideas with our leaders who listen to the others, i.e. Dr. Ruta. We need forward-looking leaders with great ideas like him. Okay?
Tell Kwanza to join Punguza Mizigo Coalition.
Ngiza Peter. Ngiza Peter. I'm watching from Atlanta, Georgia. Good to see you, Senator. Ndio amesema watu wa diaspora wanasema uingie. Senator David Kipruta, the National Disaster Management Bill is idling at the National Assembly yet to be passed. I asked the legislators from Baringo to fast track it, but they have opted for public spectacle. The U.S. as a standby grant for disaster management by Federal Emergency Management Authority. This country is a mess. This one is a mess. The top lives of the bottom. Okay,
we have in this country, Bitok, in this country we have
special emergency fund. Alafu turudi hapo Ndonya Mtira, he can't fit with the thieves. Ekuru mesema can't fit. I don't know where the thieves are.
Yes.
Ivuru and Rao cannot fight corruption jointly despite having relevant authorities fully constituted and funded. How do they convince Kenyans that things would change in the next government led by Rao minus Uhuru? No, it's not minus Uhuru. Uhuru is still there. Sema will be the advisor of government. The times we had agricultural development officers moving from home to home educating farmers, where are they today? Okay, Giza Peter, better stop musslinging with no proven facts. Let's stick to ideas. The country forward. Propaganda should not help in any forward-thinking people. Okay, Langat Geoffrey, the government job description should be redefined. They should handle the basics: provide clean water, security, build schools, healthcare, and the rest Kenyans will handle. Okay, the investigator would take 1 million and claim we did not find enough evidence.
That's what he said.
Geturu Alexei, ask Ekuru, what is the impact of BBI verdict? Should it be passed by the Supreme Court? To the elections, will it be postponed for creation of constituencies, i.e. the 70? Will elections be postponed in order to have a referendum, or in case of need to have change in structure of government for creation of office of Prime Minister, will it need Parliament to pass it without need for referendum? And if so, what is the threshold? 2, if he is launching his presidential bid, what are these pillars for a better Kenya? Haya, atarudi kuambia. Chanaangalia watu wa YouTube pia hapa. Geja Graphics, good morning to you. Njue Njagi, good morning GB. Salimia la Presda hapo. Let's learn from Sheria. Njue Njagi is around, by the way.
Yeah?
But hako area hii, lakini haonekani.
Mwambie wache story bana. Tukutane tukunywe chai.
Wana,
hizo madola.
Stop hiding. Jamaa bana is hiding with dollars bana. Yeah. Can you believe it? Njue Njagi is here. I think he's around Nakuru here meandering and gallivanting around.
Actually, no, we spoke to it, to be fair.
You spoke, huh?
We spoke. He said he's going back to the constitution. No, he's vying. Eh?
Yes.
So, mwambie tukuja Nakuru bana.
Mwambie tugonya. Entires bwana. Entires with the dollars.
Mwambie uchumi Kenya ulikuwa mbaya.
Baba nataka madola American, ya bottom up ya America. Rastas OT. Most companies in Kenya are owned by one family. Why would them let competition come to Kenya? That's how Kenyans lose. Okay, get the graphics. What is this name? Presda. Ekuru Aukot. Frederick Juma, good morning. Bitok Salimia, the panelists, and looking forward to an engaging conversation on the show. Asante sana Frederick Juma, King of Samuda. Good morning, GB, President Aukot, and the guest of the day. Asante, King of Samuda. Exactly. How do they return their money? That's only the MCAs now going up to MPs. That's why we need to punguza mizigo. I think the more we make this it's an attractive, the better leadership we'll get. DJ Danto, good morning. Bitok President kama kawaida. Asante sana, King of Samunda. All these were in the EACC. Kabisa, all thieves are equal. Now what were in the EACC mpaka wezi wa kuku. King of Samunda. Yes, even Jory Lawrence, top fella. Haya, King of Samunda. Singapore's President Lee found his deputy president was corrupt through the wife. He locked the fella up. Sydney Bonyo, good morning. GB Salimia, President Aukot, na tupatane pale ufungamano on 31st. Haya, tunafika kufika. Corinne Matthew, good morning. Good to see you. Ekuru, watching from Chepkoria, EMC County. Asante sana to Chepkoria. Sam Mushina, vipi Dr. Lama sana. Sam Mushina, good to see you this morning. There's a story, a very interesting story on the People Daily as we get back on that. Shock of fertilizer money given to security. Pesa ya mbolea ilienda kwa security. Haya, umesoma comments. Tuanze nayo kwa sababu kuna maswali zako.
So, first of all, that I think BBI is dead, and I hope that this delay from the Supreme Court, okay, I shouldn't be commenting much because we are involved in it, but of course, it's worrying that the Supreme Court is taking the longest time compared to the High Court and the Court of Appeal. Yet the issues that before the Supreme Court were very minimal, really. So by now they should have actually given us a verdict on this BBI. But even then, even if BBI is, by the way, you should not worry, because the reason they went to the Supreme Court is very simple, is to save the president. I don't think they even care about the rest of the BBI. You see, what is worrying them is that when President Uhuru shot himself in the foot by saying that I sponsored this bill as a private citizen, and you remember that's why the judges refer to him as Mr. Kenyatta, as opposed to President Kenyatta, because he dug that hole for himself. And the question that my team asked, if that is the case, that a private citizen can actually sponsor a bill, I mean, well, which is okay by law, but then how can a private citizen access public coffers? There's a private citizen called Uhuru Kenyatta who access public coffers and spend billions of our taxpayers' money promoting BBI. Why didn't Ekuru Aukot, who was the promoter of Punguza Mizigo, access the same public coffers? So I wouldn't worry about BBI. BBI is about to save the face of the president, because the judges hinted at the fact that he could be surcharged, he could actually be sued for the money that he spent. As a matter of fact, it's like you. Can you go to Treasury today in Ndung'u and access that money? If you try to do it, you are actually a thief. So I don't know whether Uhuru was actually saying that he put aside his presidential hat and he sneaked into Treasury and literally stole our money. I mean, did the president steal our money? Because how else do you access such money? Yeah. And if he did it using presidential powers, then it was an abuse of office, for which he must be sued. So Uhuru, I think, dug his own hole. Now, so I wouldn't worry, because first of all, the structure of government, to try and change the structure of government to bring in the prime minister like he is suggesting here, must go to the people. And that is the premise of Article 255, 256, and 257. Actually, 257. You must go to our people in a referendum to change the structure of government. Now, in terms of my pillars, we have about 6 pillars for Third Way Alliance Kenya, and I will be explaining all these pillars and what they mean in terms of transforming our country in the next general election. Number 1 is we believe in the economic and social transformation of this country, ending what we call economic and social injustice. There's a lot of economic injustice visited upon our people in this country. Number 2, we believe that we must end theft of public money. As I say that, I don't believe we must talk the lingua of corruption in this country anymore. Let's call a spade a spade. Kama we ni mwizi. In fact, Ndung'u, in Kikuyu, what is mwizi? Mwizi. Chorindet. Ekokolan.
Ekokolan.
Yeah.
Lands of Kenya.
Where did we get this word corruption?
That's why we try to.
It's camouflage.
It is
in our language, in our culture, in our societies. We never used to have that. It was very definitive. There was no sweetening. So we sweeten it. We make it good. We cut off. We want to present you in a way that looks nice. Actually, you are thief. But we are covering you, we are making you a good guy. You are a thief. And what you are doing is this. You are accessing a public office, paid salary by taxpayers' money, paid allowances and other remunerations by taxpayers' money. Then you proceed to steal from the same. Essentially, you are thief. Simple.
So that from ending theft of public money, which is one of our pillars, the next pillar for us is really ending negative tribal ethnicity in this country. Because if you look at even our politics today, the way we are being choreographed, it's about tribal mobilization, regional mobilization, then pitting tribes against the other. Yet, to be the truth for the matter is, hakuna mtu wetu aliandikia Mungu barua na kusema nataka kuzaliwa Mkikuyu, Mturukana, au Mkalenjin, au Mjaluo. So that negative ethnicity is actually impacting us negatively, even threatening whatever remains of our nationhood. So we believe in that. And of course, the other one is, youth and women taking over government. I do believe that we are challenging youth and women in our manifesto, in our plan for this country. Stop telling us about that you have got the numbers. Do something with your numbers. You can actually form the next government if you want. if you truly want. And then, of course, the fifth one is devolution. We really must protect devolution because we believe that devolution is the only thing that has tried to equalize us in this country. And what we have done at Third Way Alliance Kenya, we have gone just beyond devolving money and resources to the 47 counties of Kenya. That's why we came up with the idea of Punguza Mizigo, but inside Punguza Mizigo, we came up with the idea of the Ward Development Fund. With the Ward Development Fund and money going to every ward in this country, the 1,450 wards, the idea is that can we ensure that the services are being enjoyed at everybody's doorsteps? Once those services of security, education, health, employment, and all opportunities that it will make you humane, then that way you are able to equalize Kenyans. It's the speedier way of equalizing Kenyans compared, for example, to BBI that says, let's expand the executive, bring the big shots from the tribal regions into government. Those are creating jobs for only five individuals.
It's called sharing the spoils.
Yeah, that is not equalizing Kenyans. So if you devolve beyond county headquarters to the ward level, it is a speedier way of developing Kenya. So that even if you're in Lunga, in Lamu, in Mpeketoni, in Lokichogi or Todonyang, in Turkana, so long as the services are the same. Just like the same way somebody, this is Abbas in Njuguna, has pointed out that there's a time in this country we have got extension officers visiting every village.
Yeah.
Ndung'u, Wanaina and I don't know about you, Bito,
yes,
can recall the Kenya School Equipment Scheme. Yeah. It will find you everywhere you are.
Every week there used to be a public health officer.
Exactly.
Visiting every home.
Exactly.
To check whether you umekata nyasi, drainage ya maji, all those, how are you retaining your sanitation facilities, are they, and they would literally make sure every week a field extension officer, a livestock officer, and a public health officer.
Yes.
And these are people, and you could see they, if it's a field extension officer, they're not just coming just to visit. They are literally spending their time with farmers. Because we have this extremely misguided notion that what our farmers miss is finances. No. The single biggest investment I used to see in terms of production, there are a number of things that I think if we want to change the character of our farming, one, we must appreciate Kenya has one of the largest small-scale farmers. The worst thing about them, they are scattered all over. So they do not have the control and the benefit they accrue from their work. So we need to ask ourselves, how do we aggregate farmers so that they become more powerful, more organized, they can control their production, they can control their management, they can access market as an aggregated group. That's one. Two, we need to ask ourselves, how do we empower farmers with the latest technology of production?
That's true.
We don't need millions of acres. You could be having a quarter of an acre or even half an acre or 2 acres. But that unit production, we must make unit production to be so high. Just like the way you don't need to have a large head of cattle. You can help a small-scale farmer to have a well-organized, good breed. It is well attended to by the field extension livestock officers. If it's the same farmers, all that. Three is that we need to organize our farmers so that they are able to access a common credit support system. Like, for instance, I used to see in my cooperative those years when they used to function, all the farmers' produce used to go through the cooperative. When it came to plowing, planting, all their farm input used to come through the cooperative. And the farmer never used to strain because by the end of the day, if it's their growing pyrethrum, maize, wheat, whatever they were selling through the cooperative. If it was about the plowing and all that, they used to have their own machinery. So they used to support that system. And farmers, you could see, they really had money. Because when they look at the cumulative economics of scale, it really used to support them. Then those farmers used to enjoy something else that I always used to see. They always used to be taken to agriculture research trainings. They would go for a week or two. Carry where now today you have stolen all the carry that you have stolen all the ADC has gone. Our universities and the colleges that do agriculture and livestock, what do they do in the first place? Where is the link between them and the farmers? So I used to see those farmers taken for those specialized, and you see farmers now come to practice. Then the people who are training them, they would follow them in the field, so that you would see those farmers growing and developing. happening. So where is all these things? And that's what that guy is asking. Where did they go? Where did these guys go?
Yeah. So be talk. So the idea for us of protecting devolution, we are not just saying, yes, we will protect devolution generally, but we want devolution to go beyond the county headquarters. When we were promoting Punguza Mizigo Bill, we realized that if a member of the county assembly is not in good talking terms with the governor, the people in that ward which he represents are denied development and services, which for me offends the constitution of Kenya, because things to do with water, food and all that is actually, they are guaranteed as rights. These are not things that should be politicized, So that's why we are saying we need to go down to mashinani. So that's one of our principles, protecting devolution and upholding it. And the last one, of course, we are looked at the leadership of Kenya in the global spectrum. We think that really we've not presented our best. We need to reclaim our space as a country, even in the region, even internationally. And I say this because there are many examples I can cite. People ask us, one of the things that I was asked for, after my experience here with writing the Kenya Constitution, and I was privileged to go to a number of countries in Africa, and also just speaking engagements, beyond Africa. And one of the things that people admire about Kenya's Constitution is Chapter 6, the leadership and integrity chapter. And people kept on asking, but you guys, this is genius. Because if you look at, for example, if you go to a website called constitute.org, you will find about 194 constitutions of all countries in the world. And if you search those constitutions, there is no single country that has dedicated a whole chapter on leadership and integrity than Kenya. So people used to ask me, especially during the first election of 2013, and that's the time then I was doing the rounds, speaking a lot in a number of countries, including universities. And they were asking, but Kenyans, this is very beautiful, Chapter 6, but how come that you're going to have 2 ICC suspects? What integrity issues did you actually look in giving these guys the opportunity? It's known that corruption in Kenya is so high. It's practiced even up to the political level. But why do you still elect corrupt leaders? This has been so for me, that has brought a lot of disrepute in terms of the way our leadership globally is being seen. So we at Third Way Alliance Kenya were thinking we need to restore that. Look at even the way in which our people are being persecuted in the Middle East. And our leadership says nothing about it. Look at the way our people are facing persecution, even in neighboring countries, like, say, South Sudan, Tanzania, and we do nothing about it. And yet Kenyans are very industrious people. They have done very well for themselves, but we lack a leadership in Kenya that will actually come and say, I want to protect, because your people, your citizens, wherever they may be, is an extension of your jurisdiction as a country. You must follow. That's why we open up embassies, to protect our interests. And that's why you can run into an embassy and nobody will touch you, because that's Kenya's territory. So I feel that because of the nature of leaders that we have presented globally, as a country we have earned a lot of disrespect, and that means that our people are suffering. So the formula for implementing all these 6 pillars that I've explained is Punguza Mizigo Kenya.
Punguza Mizigo.
And we have got proposals within Punguza Mizigo how we can actually achieve each and every of those pillars.
Okay. All right. And tumesikia kama fununu tu mambo yake ya kulaunch your presentation bit.
Yeah.
Finally, unaweza tuambia.
It is not fununu
from the camel's mouth.
It's not fununu. I've shared with you the designs of the merchandise, the publicity materials. I will be launching my presidential bid on the 31st of this month. That is next Thursday at the Fungamano Initiative. We picked the Fungamano Initiative because of its significance in the struggle for the change in this country. Many people do not know how important the Fungamano is actually, especially in constitutional making in this country. It was the Fungamano Initiative that actually, ignited, forced President Moi at that time to actually, agree to a constitutional change under the then Constitution of Kenya Review Commission. So you remember there was in fact it was the Fungamano Initiative that did the first draft of the kind of constitution that they want for Kenya. And that actually forced the Yashpal Gai group to incorporate them. That's how we ended up with 27, I think, commissioners under the CKRC. So we'll be at Fungamano. We hope that it will jog people's memory that this is a venue for that ignited change in this country. And you know what? We want to tell our story. For me, and I've told you Bitok many times, I'm tired of complaining and saying that that camp, whether it's Kenya Kwanza or whether it is Azimio, are not the option for this country. Then let's offer ourselves. And for me, what I keep on challenging us who are in the know is that, especially as the so-called middle class or elite in this country, let's stop complaining. Let's offer ourselves and say we can do it. What is that we can put on the table? And with my little experience, my short experience in politics, I realized that politics is not difficult actually. It's about conviction. It's about how you go out there and share your plans. The only reason these people beat us, by the way, they don't beat us in terms of political ideas. They only beat us because of money that they have, which they cannot account for. But Bitok, you are a very strong supporter of Punguza Mizigo.
Yes.
And you know what we did with Punguza Mizigo? With the little support that we got from Kenya. And by the way, the pay bill is still there, still very active. You know, we were able to go to 29 county assemblies and speak to 29 county assemblies about our Punguza Mizigo bill. Until the system saw this is a danger, we are going to change things in this country. They came hammer and tongs against us, including even an attempt actually to take away my party from me. But we have since chased them. They have gone to KANU, some gone to Azimio. So we have distributed. You have distributed the resources. We have redistributed them. We have returned them to the sender. You know, remember back in the days when you get a letter and it comes to the wrong address. There's something called RTS, return to sender. So those people who had come to our party masquerading as third wares, we have since returned them to the senders.
Wamerudi.
So that's in a nutshell. But I want to welcome everybody actually to come to
that's on Thursday.
On Thursday, Ndung'u, if you have time, come and speak to us about your experience and what we need to do. You know, we are open for ideas and we want to welcome every Kenyans to participate. You know, this is a democracy. And my advice to even the tacklers who are listening is that, you know, the reason that the country is in the state it is, even if you look at the state of laws, state of the economy, this is of our own social interaction, is because majority of us have left the country. We had surrendered the country to only few individuals. And that's why today in Kenyan politics, media will say, it's a two-horse race. They're talking about personalities. They're talking about this coalition. I mean, I'm surprised, a tackler is actually asking me to join Kenya Kwanza. And I want my challenge back to this tackler is this. I want you to deconstruct these coalitions. Look at these coalitions. Who are the people forming these coalitions? What have they been? What has been their track record? And why are they forming this coalition? My conclusion is that these coalitions are being formed for public personal preservation, not to serve the public. Because I really struggle very hard to listen to what these people have to offer. The other day I was in a show with two of Kenya Kwanza individuals, and they were put to task to explain what they are calling the bottom-up approach. And one of them made a very big mistake, and he said that, if you look at America is applying what's called bottom-up approach. And I say, what ignorant fellow this is. They fail to realize that Joe Biden's approach to the economy is what they call the top trickle-down, the top trickle-down economy, trickle-down economies, not bottom-up. And that's why they are targeting, support, taxing the wealthiest and all that. But our people here just pick ideas and they put in the political arena and they lie to Kenyans. So I think we all have a role to play. And like I said, we talk many times in your show, I want to be the president of this country because I've got ideas that I think will transform this country, which I've shared. But at the same time, it will not kill me if I don't become Kenya's president. I will not behave like those other people who think that they must be Kenya's president, even unleashing violence. But what kills me is our silence about the way we are being duped and being lied to, and we are doing nothing about it. That is the most unfortunate thing about many of us. We actually traitors of our own country, traitors of our own destiny. When we keep silent and quiet and see the bad things that are happening in our country, the way the country is being choreographed around personalities who have been there, not done much for the country, but just tribal mobilization. And that's why, for me, I want to run for president of this country, because I think I want to inject a new, different narrative in our politics.
I think it's very interesting how, I was reading what I listened to Jim Wajigi, the Safina presidential nominee, when he was making his case in Bomas. And you seem to be sharing a lot in common, because I think Jimmy has defined his thought around his presidency. He has built it around a new, bold, forward-thinking leadership. We are in a different world. The global moved. We can't use the tools of yesterday to deal with the new challenges we are facing and the opportunities that are coming up. So we can't have the same face, the same idea, the same people giving us the same thing. We got to have a new, bold, forward-thinking leadership. I heard him say that. Something else he said is that this country, we got to fix our governance. We got to get a clean and efficient governance system in this country. We have no shortage of laws. We have no shortage of institutions. Actually, we have a problem. We have more institutions, we have more laws, and we have a big government, something we don't need. We need to have a very clean and efficient government. The third thing he said is that, which is also what you have talked about, is the question about we got to address the human dignity of a Kenyan. You know, a Kenyan must live a life worthy living as a human being. Access to opportunities, income, their health, their education, their all that. And I think one other thing I have seen you also sharing together with him is that he has said, I listened to him and then I asked him whether I can get leading the one thing he said, it is we the youth, the 76% of the Kenyan population, it is our time. It is not tomorrow, it is now. He talked about women. He said, women, you are 50.1%. It is your movement of empowerment. Then he said, he ended up with saying, we Kenyans, the 99% excluded, it is our economy time. You see that kind of language. So I see you guys sharing a lot of things in common in there. But there's something, Ekuru, that I think it is something that you really need to think through. And it's good that you are part of, you are the CEO of Committee on Constitutional Writing. You know, the devolution we have in this country is not the devolution in the Constitution.
One devolution gani tuko nayo?
The devolution we have is the devolution that is in the Constitution has been conscripted when it comes to implementation. And I'll give you an example. If you look at Article 2, the provision on Article 262, Section 17 of it, it is very specific that the entire system that used to be known as provincial administration was supposed to be restructured and accord with the devolved system of government.
I remember that very well.
What we did, we only painted colors. The DC, we made them county commissioners. The chiefs, we made them, they are now called assistant county, something.
Yes, administrators.
Something like that. We never restructured the whole system.
Because they didn't want to.
That's one. Two, our economic and fiscal structure that we have is not what is provided under Chapter 12 on public finance. The devolution of public resources. And I'll give you three things are outstanding under Chapter 12 when we want to address devolution. One, it talks about equal society and guaranteeing equitable development. Yes, that's the first principle it talks about. Second, it talks about fairness in taxation and sharing of resources. Right? Three, it provides for the services that are approximate to the people, funded through taxpayers' money. Right? So if you look at chapter 12 on public finance, against the devolution on public finance has never been implemented. We still have the old system of public finance managing the devolution. That's why Treasury today can actually staff county money. We never restructured the Treasury and the public finance system to accord with and respect what? Devolution. Come to the entire state parastatals and corporations. Have they ever moved?
No.
They are still the way they are. That is why, for instance, you have 47 county governments receiving about 200 and 370 billion, and you have a humongous state parastatals who are doing the functions of the county anyway, but they are allocated close to about 600 billion. Right? So we have never restructured the old state the way it was to accord with and respect devolution. So and remember this, devolution is the core promise of the Constitution 2010. That remains the core. So we haven't implemented the devolution. Secondly, devolution was not about the county headquarters.
Yes.
There are two things we must dismantle.
As per Article 6 of Article 3.
Yes. There are two things we must dismantle. We must dismantle Nairobi. Right?
Nairobi?
Yes.
Okay.
What I mean by dismantling Nairobi is Nairobi has refused to let the country free. What I mean is the entire national bureaucracy of the national government has literally refused to let devolution grow. Right? If we were to grow devolution and make devolution work, this country would be a completely different country. I'll give you an example. In countries where all the countries in the world today, the most industrialized countries, the most developed countries, even one of our own former colonizer, British, it is arriving to a conclusion that retaining power at Whitehall will never, it is making British uncompetitive globally. So it is ceding powers to local authorities, their municipalities, so that they become the key decision makers. I'll give another country, Sweden. In 1989, Sweden realized it was collapsing economically. Its economic power was declining. So what Sweden decided to do is a very simple thing, is that we are going to give powers to regional governments, the municipalities, the cities. They give them powers, they give them the resources to build private sector. Right? So the private sector became the power.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Kenyans need to know this. It is not the responsibility of government to employ people.
That's true.
It is the work of the private sector to create jobs. It is the work of the private sector to pay tax.
Government is to facilitate an enabling environment.
You get me? The moment we kill the private sector, right? And government literally chased the private sector out of financial market. And government became the single largest borrower. Today, every bank want to give money to government rather than private sector. That is the day the young people of this country lost jobs. You can sing until whatever time, but there will be no jobs in this country if you don't build businesses, if you don't build private sector. That is where the jobs are. Two, our tax base will remain extremely small and burdening a very small size of population if we don't build the economy, expand the economy through the private sector and businesses, so that you expand the tax base. We need to ask ourselves, this 86% of the population that forms the informal economy, how do we organize this informal economy and make it part of the formal economy? Right? So that we expand that. There's no miracle Kibaki did. You know what Kibaki did? Kibaki said, you private sector people, you private business, go access money. You government, get out of money market. Let's private sector. You Ekuru, Aukot, we talk everybody. Go to the bank and get money. Go invest. Right? You build jobs. You build economy. You expand the economy. You build the tax base. That is how our tax is expanded. Government got so much tax. Then one other thing he said, we must make our tax serve the people. who pay the tax. So Kenyans were proud to go and pay tax because they could see with themselves. They could see water, they could see education, they could see hospital and other. So we should be able to make sure that we got to move away. This whole thing, and someone need to tell me, what the hell did it come that people are moving out of private sector? They're moving out of NGOs. They're moving out of everywhere to go to government. There must be something in there that we must need to ask.
To steal, Ndung'u, to steal and to get rich quick.
Precisely.
Yes.
So the point is this, that we have such a progressive constitution, right? With important norms and rules, but we do not want to follow them.
You see, Wanaina.
It's as simple as that.
Wanaina. Let me share with you a tired story. And we keep on repeating this story. We'll repeat it until Kenyans listen to us. Let me share with you a tired story. For any country to prosper, you need stewardship.
Yes.
As simple as that. People who can purposely interpret that constitution, that chapter 12, that will say, when we created devolution, why are we creating another layer of government?
Yes.
Called provincial administration, which we are now bastardizing by calling, regional commissioners and all that. We don't need them. For example, today, there is no reason why CDF should be there. Yes. Because counties are doing exactly what these guys are purporting to do. And CDF, by the way, is not serving the people. It's a campaign kitty for members of parliament. All this Wanaina requires a deliberate leadership in a country that says, this is what devolution means, this is what the letter and spirit of the constitution is. Period.
And that's it.
And that is it. And once you do that, all these things are easy to achieve. Today, if you're a governor, you know very well that you've got XY number of wards in your county. Why are you denying one ward services just because that person was elected from another political party?
In fact, I told Ilongo Kangata, Senator Ilongo Kangata, who is now studying for governor in Murang'a, when he was trying to push this ward development fund. You know what I told the guy? You know what? Every county by today would have long time passed their ward development fund.
Exactly.
You are the county government. You are government. Why are you still looking at Nairobi?
Yes.
You see this whole thinking about Nairobi has to pass this, has to... No. A county government receives its fair share of the national resources. And then just hold on. The county has its revenue. It has grants. It has other... Why have you not passed the ward development fund that ensures equitable access and distribution of resources and services in your ward? And that means what you have just talked about, that a person in a village should be able to access the services not as a magnanimity or a favor from a governor or from an MCA. It is your right. And that can only be actualized. Actually, all these fights we have been having about the fights in counties and all that kind of thing, it's because we have refused to let institutions grow and develop. An institution today, we are talking about parliament. And I want Kenyans to know this. If Kenyans are complaining about heavy burden of tax, the culprit is your member of parliament.
Absolutely.
Starting
from the 2018 VAT Act.
You are a member of the National Assembly. If you are at the ward level or at county level and you are having a problem in terms of permits, licenses, levies, the people who have levied those levies and are you people you elected as your MCS. If you are talking about the national government failure to implement devolution the way it is, the culprits are the members of the Senate. So don't pass the buck. The constitutional power of pass, allocation of resources and approval of resources, including borrowing, it is the sole power of the parliament. It abdicated its responsibility. The people who are elected are the real people who are making the electorate to serve. It's as simple as that. And
Ndung'u, the reason why I'm bringing back Punguza Mizigo as an option in the ballot in the 2022 is to address a number of those issues. Because I felt that if we leave some of these things to the cheap politicking at the county level, where the governor thinks that he's the king and now does not even understand the Bill of Rights that guarantees everybody the right to water, health, and all that. That's why, for me, I prefer to entrench it into the Constitution, That's why I propose in Punguza Mzigo, we must create a ward development fund under Chapter 11 to entrench it. But again, we put a caution, Wanaina. It cannot be the same thing as CDF. This will be a conditional grant towards, not exact money going to them, so that the MCA will be able to sit with his constituents in a ward and say, okay, what are our priorities today? Because not every ward, is the same. If you talk about the wards in Nairobi, their needs could be about maybe garbage collection, electricity, street lighting, security and all that. But somebody else, say in a rural county or ward, could be about water, could be about a dispensary, could be about a school. So this is why for me, I will still retable Punguza Mizigo for Kenya's consideration, because it addresses all those issues there is. For example, in Punguza Mizigo, we had said we abolish provincial administration, because it is provincial administration. They cannot call it county commissioners or whatever. It is provincial administration. And what Kenyans did, and maybe many Kenyans do not know the story, in the harmonized draft of November 2009, we had actually clearly said abolish.
Yeah. It was very specific.
It was very specific. What these fellows did, they went to Naivasha. And in that Naivasha, guess who are in Naivasha? We had William Ruto. We had Uhuru Kenyatta. We had the James Orengos. We had all these fellows today who are in these coalitions. All these fellows who are in the coalitions today. They were in Naivasha. They are the ones actually who came hammer and tongs against the committee of experts. And what we did, and maybe this was our naivety, because we balance a lot of things. We said, do we go hard on these fellows, or at least we give Kenyans a constitution that is largely progressive, in the hope that we'll have a leadership at the very top that will respect the spirit of the constitution. And that's how we came with the word restructure. So that restructure, you can define it in many ways.
It can be anything.
It can be anything.
Yes.
And we thought that if you have a wise president, a president who understands the change that Kenya is going through, then we don't need. And we even suggested in our report, by the way, these provincial commissioners, we can make them ambassadors. We can make them principal secretaries. You can actually absorb them into the national government, but give devolution the respect which the people of Kenya intended.
Yes.
And that's why for me, in Punguza Mizigo, we propose it. But you see what happened. You see the people who fought me in Punguza Mizigo. Yeah? The current advisor to Jubilee,
yes,
and the president of Jubilee.
What we should be having, this is what we should be having if we want really to make our country grow. First, we must disband the office called the Office of the President.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
What we should have is specifically the presidency. That is what you call the State House. Right? Then we should have specific ministries. That amorphous office called the Office of the President is the single largest problem for this country. Two things must happen. How do you need to dismantle that? We will dismantle that office and create 3 different entities. The presidency goes and settles in State House. All the people who serve as, we call them provincial administrators and everybody else.
Yes.
Those are civil servants. Right? We create the Ministry of National Administration and Devolution Affairs. Right? So that all those guys, unaita nani, akina county commissioners, kila mtu wako hapo, they are civil servants.
Ward administrators.
They follow under Public Service Commission. Wale wako kwa award, wana follow under the county Public Service Board. Then we create a specific ministry deals with the police and internal security. We completely separate the whole of that. Yeah. Now what we have been having, we carried a carryover of how the colonial state used to administer the state. The organ that used to be responsible is now what you call the Office of the President. Right? The DCs we have were the DOs and the DCs, the chiefs. They're the same guys. Actually, if you look at the uniform, it's the same thing. The only thing nowadays they wear the trousers. But if you look at the uniform, it is still the same. Is it? So what we must do is we must distinctively dismantle that office. 2, we must make our devolution the reality to the Kenyans. We can only grow, and I repeat again, we will only grow jobs, we will only create jobs, we will only build private sector if we dismantle the power system and economic system we have in this country. If you don't do it, we are wasting our time. We are going to remain in this. And I can tell you this. Ekuru, and you just wait. By the time we are done with the 2022 general election, within 2 years, we will be back to a handshake. This is the consequence of getting trapped and held and ransomed by a transactional kind of politics. This is about leadership. We do a deal, and that's it. Right? Tukatanisha, to agree. Wewe hata kama ukienda upande ule, but it is called transactional leadership politics. That's what has held us up to where we are. And it's about sharing the spoils, creating the eating trough, so that everybody can feel it. And it's not Kenyans who are eating, by the way. It is about specific individuals who have. And that takes me to your question. Why was I fighting government? I was not fighting the government. I was stating the truth. I was stating a fact. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, I started saying it in 2018, and I am saying it here again. Uhuru had at no any one time had the intent of leaving the office. And that's why in 2019 I said Uhuru Kenyatta must not be allowed to change the constitution while in office. You know what Moi did in 1992? Moi served 14 years. Right? In 1992, when we changed Section 2A and all those other amendments, you know what Moi said? I did not serve in the constitution you have said changed. I served in the old constitution. He was there. That's how Moi ended up being in the ballot. If you change the constitution 2010 through BBI or any other means, Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai would be in the box, in the ballot box.
I doubt that.
No, just hold on.
I doubt that.
No, just hold on. Let me finish, because you asked me why. and that has always been him, and he has been very consistent about it. Secondly, when that project failed, right, Uhuru now has created a special purpose vehicle. Raila Amolo Odinga is a decoy. Is a ploy, is a member of continuity of
special purpose vehicle.
It is to deliver
a special purpose
to deliver Uhuru Kenyatta's project that failed the BBI. Down the road, they will know what to do. What these guys are doing, they are creating self-succession, self-preservation, a continuity. This generation, we are dealing with the son's generation. I can assure you one thing. In 2027, now we'll be dealing with grandsons and daughters' time. You get me? Now, that thing Uhuru has done, as we are talking now, by him, he's supposed to be retired and gone home. He has refused. Actually, he has become a player. Somebody who was supposed to be an independent empire, facilitating as peaceful, legitimate, credible elections, he has become a player.
Even dragging his own mother into the fray.
What that does, and what it has done, and this challenge Ekuru you are going to face, is this. Uhuru has distorted, tutored, and interfered with the level of playing ground for 2022 general election. That creates a problem for us, right? And one of the challenge, and in fact, one of the, I think, challenge the Supreme Court is equally facing, is that it has to make a determination on BBI, but within a month or within 5-6 months, it will be there with a presidential petition problem it will be handling. So there will be quite a number of challenges we are facing. I don't think Kenyans have figured out what Uhuru is doing to us. Uhuru has become the single biggest destabilizing factor in this country, when he should have been actually the most stabilizing factor. That's it's a bottom line of what I was talking about.
Okay. All right. I think I'll look at the comments.
I have a lot of faith in the people of Kenya.
Yes, definitely.
I have a lot of faith in the people of Kenya, and also where, as a country, we have come from. I doubt, even if Uhuru attempted, and of course we will not allow him to do it, even if he attempted to change this constitution to come back a third term, I doubt the people of Kenya will accept that. That's the faith I have, because this is what I'm reading on the ground. But having said that, we cannot take anything for granted.
No, I don't.
We cannot take anything for granted. We have to have our antennas up.
Yes.
We must know exactly why two people were viciously abusing each other not long ago, pitting their communities, their ethnic bases against the other. All of a sudden, lovey-dovey with each other. I think we must be suspicious, and we must. And when Ndung'u, and this is why I think I want to invite someone like you to join politics, because Your ideas are great. You analyze situations very well. You need to take this debate, this knowledge to the people of Kenya. The people who are listening to you here today are elite. People who can tune in into Facebook. We need to go there and talk to the people of Kenya and tell them, you know, what is happening to you. And we need to be brutally honest with Kenyans. Wanaina. And for me, one of the biggest challenges I have, and I've always tell Bitok and my friends when we hang out, even in social, let's stop complaining. And by the way, these days, me na mbiega watu Ndung'u, tukikutana kama ni kwa bar tunakutana, ati we are socializing. I don't want to hear you lament about how Uhuru is bad, Ruto, Raila. I want you to tell me what is it that you are doing about it. If you are not telling me what you are not doing about it, tukae chini kama ni hiyo mvinyo, acha tukunywe mvinyo, tukishatosheka tuende nyumbani. Lakini if you must do something, you must do something about this country. And as many of us as possible must come out. And let me tell you, Ndung'u, the more we stay on the fence and continue to lament, these people, they don't care.
No, they don't.
They don't care. Actually, they know. Wacha huyo Ndung'u aongee.
Watalialia watamaliza.
Wacha aongee kwa Trio Media kwa Gerald Bitok. Alao hatadu.
Next week atakuwa mezao. Kama vile tulisahau lower food prices.
I was checking how British managed when British realized that they were supposed to leave. You know, that was by the time they were getting to 1956, 57, 58 about.
After the emergency.
Yes. Now they realized one thing. They were about to leave. But they were so scared about their interest, their RAD, economic and all those things. So what they did is that they used the colonial administrative officers to determine the Regicor election. So they made sure that the people who got elected in the Regicor were the people who were loyalists. They served the interest and they would take care of the interest of the people who elected them. So there was a selection of some sort. It was an election, but in actual fact, it was a selection of some sort. Once they were done with that, they were very clear. I want you to read a book by Bill Daddy Kagia about the struggle for freedom and justice. And he explains how the fight they had with Jomo. So what the British did in terms of preparing and exiting Kenya, they made sure that they have left Kenya in the hands of the loyalists.
Yes, of course.
Both executive and as well as the Regicor. Do you know why? And it was not just the political office holders. It is also the economic loyalists.
Exactly.
What Uhuru is doing, he wants to make sure
the same thing.
The same. Uhuru
happens.
Is applying that script. Cut and paste. So what you are struggling and what you are seeing here is this. And is that we are going to have a very vicious fight because this is a history. I call it the independence virus we inherited. It has been mutating. Now we are in the second generation. We are headed now. They want to mutate it to get into the third generation. So what we are about to create is another 60 years of deprivation, dehumanizing, and brutality to this country. So what we should be able to, and that's what I say, if it is a matter of joining politics or being at the heart of this politics so that we dismantle these guys, we got to get Kenya free. We got to Kenyans have their freedoms, their human dignity, their humanity as people. Because Kenyans are really dehumanized. I was checking, if you look at our demographics now, as you're talking, you have population of people who are 37 years and below. They are 76% of our population. Right? If you look at that population, then you check 69.8% of our population is dependent.
Absolutely.
60 dependent. These are people.
All right, guys, we are 5 minutes past time.
So we should be alive to the realities that we have. And that's why, for instance, myself, I would strongly support what Ekuru is talking about. That we must get young people, get women, get the entire of this generation. You middle class, get out of looms, get out there and push things.
Get the graphic on something. We want to know. We want the name of that government official president. Yule mwenye alitisha 50%. Wanasema wanataka.
He's actually a current minister.
Tangaza msema.
That time he was not a minister.
Sema wa.
Toboa. He was working in a parastatal.
Toboa.
Let me not do that.
Toboa bwana. So that's what anasema lazima utaje jina. Otherwise things will get relevant for you. Farouk Life, good to see you this morning. Ekuru, vipi? Kama Sojang Thomas Ochieng, reject Raila Odinga. Okay. As Ochieng, good morning, GB. Tell Aukot and Wanaina to join either of the two formations.
No.
There's a status quo.
Kenya's choice is not between two horses.
Acha nimalize kusoma comments. Nini mnafanya vita bwana?
Unajaribu kutukasirisha Friday bwana.
Mnakasirika kwa nini? Now tell Aukot and Wanaina to join either of the two formations. Status quo, Azimio, or Progressive Kenya Kwanza to drive the agenda beyond talk show platforms. Okay. King of Zamunda, Thomas, these two also should join third way. Okay. Thomas Ocheng. Zamunda, Aukot and Wanaina have good ideas, but this can't be implemented nationwide within the confines of their brains and talk shows. They must belong to mass movements, which third way alliance is not. Okay. King of Zamunda, Ocheng, now new wine should never be put in old wine skins. Okay. Those two others are nowhere near the third way alliance party is all about. Okay. According to you, I'm an extension worker with an NGO called Plant Village in Bungoma County. Here, government extensionists are asking for a bribe to connect us to ward sub-county farmers. Wow. A bribe to reach and help farmers. Sad Kenya. So sad. Coril, Manti, I'd like to hear this story. Please drop me an inbox. I'll give you a call. Those are Wakili Ekuru. Your statement is misleading. Biden's model is bottom-up, middle-out, not top-down
economics. That's
they have actually sent a video, and I think I've sent the video to Douglas. You can play it as we get out. Douglas is actually indicating that it's a bottom-up, middle-out. Okay. King of Zamunda, Thomas, I think you're underestimating this talk show. 50 people is statistically wrong. I'm sure you know the show is consistently live every day. And if we just Sante, Zamunda Dozar is a trickle down. King of Zamunda, trickle down, top down. Why is my changanyo zaidi? Okay. I'm not talking about the rich, the wine. I having with the great transformative ideas. The ideas need to permeate critical mass, by a mass movement. The Reliance and GB show is great. Okay. King of Samunda Reliance Aukot is leveraging on GB switch. Thomas Ocheng, I think there's a historical and the likes of Ekuru will always have a limited reach, not because he hasn't reached hundreds of thousands, but because we put a wall called Uyo Hata Boy Anaka Kitu ETC. Shindo pepa mbaya. Remember Punguza Mzigo was endorsed by 1.2 million Kenyans. And we kept this running. We've kept it going. It's still running, by the way. Should be at www.punguzamzigo.org.
Yes.
Because you can still endorse the document. You still endorsing Punguza Mzigo document, www.punguzamzigo.org. Punguza Mizigo.org.
Mizigo ni mingi.
Alright, nana mwingine hapa. Kimtai Vini, Kenya iliraruka kitambo. Talks wouldn't help. Action. Elvis Ascend, great show today. Asante Ndoni and Deri Abbas Njuguna. How can they fight with a government full of udanganyivu? Daima. Kipkorir Alexi, final question to Ekuru. Is he open for coalitions? Mindet Kawech Mutai, I thought Joe Biden have been talking about bottom-up, middle-out. Yeah, Ekuru ni gani tena? Hi, Ekuru, are you open to coalitions? As you're giving your
I'm only open to coalitions of like-minded and willing. Me, I will never join a coalition that is duping Kenyans. If today Ndung'u told me let's form a coalition, that's a coalition I'll jump into quickly because I know he means well for the country. Coalitions that are formed because of political expediency are not really coalitions. And that's why I've said even in our show last Saturday at Radio Jambo. And I remember challenging you guys, let's deconstruct these coalitions. When you deconstruct the coalition, then you remain. It's like what we call in company law, lifting the veil, or lifting the corporate veil. When you lift the corporate veil, you go to the directors. Who are these directors of this company? And therefore, who are these people in the coalition? I mean, I don't want to discuss personalities here because my interest is let's give a different agenda for Kenya. And then maybe just to throw back the challenge to the person asking this question, coalitions must mean something for the country, not for individuals. And I've always given about 3 examples of coalitions. I think for me, the oldest of coalitions is probably the Abraham Lincoln coalition. If you read the Team of Rivals, the political genius of Abraham Lincoln. And when Abraham Lincoln was running for the presidency of the United States of America, he was seen as a generalist. He didn't really have specific, policies and stuff. But his competitors, there are competitors who are very strong in education, strong in defense, strong in health, and strong in other, diplomacy, for example. And when Abraham Lincoln anyway was elected as a Republican, because the Republican Party was popular at the time, what he did is he said, listen, now that I'm president, I've been elected, but this is about America.
Yes.
It's not about me. But I noticed Bitok and Ndung'u Wanaina had very strong policies, and ideas on education, on health and all that. And he reached out to them and told them, the elections is over. We now need to talk about how we serve the people of America. I would like to invite you into cabinet, take up a cabinet position. That was a very good coalition. In the state of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, for almost, I think, 12 years, if I'm not wrong, survived on coalitions because he wasn't able to win outrightly. But there are people he was competing with who are, for example, his party was the Likud party, and then there was the other parties. And he realized that these people can actually add a value into me forming government to serve the Israeli people. And especially on matter security, they will never compromise on matter security, and their own self-preservation as a state of Israel. So they formed a coalition, but for purposes of preserving the state of Israel. In England, the most recent and very, strange coalition was that between the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats. One would have thought the Liberal Democrats in the UK will form a coalition with the Labour, because they share certain ideals. But they went the extreme and formed with the Conservatives. But at the end of the day, they were placing the interests of the British people. And it was during that coalition that David Cameron lost because of Brexit. And for him, he felt, having lost, I have no further use being your prime minister. So coalitions,
even this lady who was just Angela Merkel,
exactly,
for two terms. He has served with the.
How can I forget that? Angela Merkel survived for 2 terms with coalitions, and grew Germany economy to be the biggest economy in Europe.
In fact, the current chancellor was the former finance minister.
Exactly. So Bitok, it's okay to talk about coalition, but let's also say coalition
around which ideas?
For what purpose? If the purpose is to benefit the people of Kenya, because if you look at the nature of our coalitions today, it's about personalities. It's about individualism. It's about, and that's why for me, Bitok, I've said many times, and I'll repeat it again here. Let's stop using this excuse that there are no permanent enemies or friends in politics. There ought to be. There ought to be permanent enemies and friends in politics.
Just like Kenya. In elections, there are winners and losers.
Exactly. So when people refuse to accept our laws and go violent so they can go in government, that's an enemy of the people. When you steal money meant for medication, blood transfusion, bed space, you are an enemy of the people. You cannot say now because there's somebody who is incoming is likely to be populist, so let me join them. And you want us to forget that you are a thief of public resources. You are an enemy.
I think what we need most is a coalition of Kenyans for a different Kenya. A Kenya for all, a Kenya that provides dignity, a Kenya that provides human, freedom, well-being. We need to have a Kenya for Kenyans. Every Kenya must have a sense of belonging. When I remember in 2002, when I saw young people singing, Yote Wezekana Bila Moyo, they were not singing because they were anticipating that they would be given something. It is because they had new dreams. They saw the prospects of their lives, their aspirations. So they had a hope with tomorrow. Today, when you ask all these millions of young people, very few will tell you they have a prospect for tomorrow. We must give Kenya, we must have a Kenya where our young people have a prospect for better tomorrow for their lives.
But you see, Bitok, I'm not difficult. If there's one coalition I will enter, it's a coalition called Punguza Mizigo, because we really must Punguza Mizigo, including, by the way, the leadership in this country is one big Mizigo. We've been carrying this Mizigo for the longest time, for nearly 57 years. Imagine if you go back to independence, the independence promised that we will eradicate disease, ignorance, and poverty. I just want Kenyans to reflect on those 3 things. The eradication of disease, ignorance, and poverty. I bet you there are more poor Kenyans today than they were.
Actually, they are 56%.
56%.
All right.
That cannot be a country in the 21st century. A
It
country
cannot
with enormous resources, great opportunities. One of the things that has led us to this state of 56% poverty level is the leadership. Na hiyo ni mzigo moja kubwa lazima tupunguze. So kama kuna coalition, mimi nataka ni ya coalition ya kupunguza mizigo.
Okay. Coalition ya kupunguza mzigo, kwa hivyo fungua coalition, tutaingia. It will come. It will come.
Thursday tunaanza kupunguza mizigo coalition.
Haya, there's an incident yesterday that happened as well. There's an incident that happened yesterday at ODM headquarters. Where journalists were attacked by guns.
By the way, what was
that? Hiyo puzi uko naye na siasa, mwachana tafadhali. I mean, this is a professional body. These are professional people who are doing their work. Please respect them. And it's very interesting because the irony, I saw Raila Odinga at that time issued a letter. And even, he not only tweeted, he issued a letter saying that journalists were blocked from accessing the in-house deliberations at UDA NDC. He gave out a whole letter with a letterhead that it was retrogressive against democracy. I don't know, I've not seen, several hours later, I've not seen Raila Odinga speak on the attacks that have been meted against journalists, or meted yesterday against journalists at the ODM headquarters. And this kind of gunship has to end. This kind of primitivity has to end. It has to come to an end. And people need to respect each other, that people are doing what they do, and it should be respected that people do what they do. These are bringing politics into professionals and, doing things when they are good for you, because the journalists who attacked actually from NTV. Beaten yesterday, and it's not the first time.
And you see,
it's another incident.
And you see,
these guys are not speaking about it.
And people have
this
said,
nonsense have to come.
And people have said, they are doing this to people now. Wakiingia kwa serikali, najua wakiingia
kwa government. So I think let's respect each other. I don't know what you guys think about this.
No, it has this a criminal behavior that has been consistent within ODM, and it is not just the journalists. Even ODM own people who carry a divergent opinion. Wajigi, you remember there was also that time at there is also that place they beat at the Many Brack. It has been a consistent. And the worst thing about this is that these are individuals who are known by name.
Yes.
Right? Actually, they do it right in front of these readers, including Raila Odinga himself. You remember how they handled the Magarel?
Yes.
One time?
Magarel,
yes.
He was a CEO.
Yes.
Imagine.
So you can imagine. So this consistent. And I want to tell Kenyans this. Kenyans never fight for anybody. Fight for yourself. Never attack a fellow Kenyan. Let journalists do their work. Raila Odinga must tame his people. These are people he knows. And if he cannot even, if it happens today, tomorrow, keeps coming, and it happens right in front of you, and you do nothing about it, then it means you must be the owner.
Bitok,
and you must take responsibility
in the interest of bringing back the idea of Sheria Wiki, you see, we can borrow from the principles in the International Criminal Court. President Uhuru Kenyatta, Henry Koskei, and William Ruto, the other guy, all the other suspects, Sang and Hussein Mohammed, were not charged because we saw them rape anybody, or murder or kill anybody. There is in the principle of what do we call it in law?
Command responsibility.
Command responsibility. Okay, who bears the greatest responsibility? Okay, so in the context of these political parties and the violence that is being unleashed to either people who are opposed to ODM or other people, we must adopt that principle.
Yes, we must go
for that
command responsibility.
Command responsibility.
The highest responsibility.
Who bears the highest responsibility? ODM is under the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga. When Jimmy Wanjigi was roughed up at Kasarani, we saw Sifuna.
Yes.
Edwin Sifuna,
Secretary General
of ODM, give command to the police. It is there on video. So instead of going for these faceless fellows who are actually we go for the leadership. Command responsibility. They must bear responsibility because they are the leadership. Just like today, if this country collapses, the person who will bear the greatest responsibility is President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because he's the president of the Republic of Kenya. Yes. So we must adapt some of these international principles practice in the running of our affairs. So DCI, in my view, ought someone Raila Amolo Odinga or Edwin Sifuna or the CEO of that office to come and write a statement what exactly transpired. And that person must produce those goons. If they don't, then they be charged themselves. That's the only way we can begin to clean this rot in
fact, in this country, we must make people bearing the greatest responsibility pay the most pain,
the
highest price anywhere there is violence. Because we have allowed these people that even if today I mobilize, I organize violence, nothing will happen to me. There are no consequences. Just like people who are stealing public resources, the thieves. It is a high return business. In Kenya, violence is high return. Stealing is high return. We must make it extremely costly and painful. And we must stop going for small boys and girls in town. We must go for the real culprits. I don't think
the big fish.
I don't think
that's the only way we can teach people a lesson.
I don't think that people in Uda would go and commit violence if Ruto himself is not aware. It's not possible.
And by the way, speaking of which,
it is not possible for people in ANC to commit crime, violence, instigate violence. If ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi is not aware, there is nothing that happens in Kenyan politics that the top people don't know.
Of course they know. They
even provide and facility. So the thing here is this, and that's why occur this point of command responsibility, bearing the highest must be taken to the real people. The real, not shadows.
Yes. Okay.
Because remember, look at, for example, that guy, that disrespectful, despicable, deplorable human being called Ochoi.
Yes.
You saw the video he did.
Choi.
Cosmos Choi. Cosmos Choi. That's disgusting. And now he pretends a day later that he's apologizing. How do you insult an old woman using her genitalia publicly? And just because in the name of a politician that you believe in. I would have even expected William Ruto to come out and distance himself from that idiot called Choi. I'm sorry to call him, but he's an idiot. And this is a person, in my view, who even lives in the first world. It's such a disgrace. I wish I was in charge of that country. I would just tell him, go back to your native village where you came from. Because this is a father of children. He's a husband. And look at the kind of, and you see this behavior is being tolerated. This immorality in the public, this violence in the public. Now I think this command responsibility must be applied in the context of Kenya. Let's go for the bosses.
Okay. Haya. Tuende wenyewe wanasema umbwa ikikuuma unaendea mwenye umbwa.
Exactly.
Umbwa ikikuuma unaendea mwenye umbwa, uende umbwa. Natafuta mwenye umbwa unaambia jana. Umbwa yako. Ili ni uma. Okay, maybe it's that time. So, hiyo upuzi ya kupigana na watu na kupiga journalists.
Na kutukanana.
Hatuwezi enda.
Na kutukanana publicly.
They've set a standard for us.
We must adopt a decent and decorum politics.
Asante. Abbas Ndung'u, we only have two tribes in Kenya, the rich and the poor. There are people who would pay drive on the expressway, while there are those who would walk under it. Now, amesema, by the way, don't be seen walking on the expressway. Don't be seen. Usijaribu kutembea juu expressway.
Na ni pesa zetu ni.
Ama usijaribu kusukuma cart, ama kusukuma wheelbarrow juu expressway. You'll see the birds of Ngete. Interestingly, those working would pay loans procured to put these structures till the end of the time, and they'll never use it. They'll pay all the loans, they'll never use it. Now these two guys make lots of sense. I like the discussion today. Asante sana. Paul Kiron, exactly. But dismantling Nairobi currently is next to impossible because there are guys trying all means possible to own the city. Some businesses are deliberately crippled, some structures demolished, all in the name of developing the capital city. But Juguna, the two office of Mr. Abaf, okay. But Juguna, latest appointments in the armed forces. Anything not adding up? I think that's something we should have looked at, by the way. This Ibrahim, why is Ndung'u so truthful? I admire him. Garding Kate, Abitok, please ask Mr. Ndung'u to join others in campaign rallies and spread the good information. Gitul Kipkori Alexi would wish to be in Fungamano. Ama akona men black. Ukona men in black?
For me?
Yeah.
No. Let me tell you.
Kila mtu akuje.
Sisi we are not threatening anybody. Hakuna pesa ya mtu sisi tumeiba. Sisi ni walala hoi, wala nyasi.
Na kweli this is the first campaign ambayo inafundiwa na wananchi.
Yes.
Sisi by the way, just to be honest, we are just contributing as friends to ensure that the days ni wananchi.
I'm so encouraged. Yesterday my guy sent me a statement from our pay bill. Do you know the guys were sending us as little as 100 bob, 10 bob? Somebody is even asking how much is a t-shirt and a coffee. I want to sponsor a t-shirt. Already somebody has offered 100 t-shirts. Another one has offered 2 matatus. 2 matatus, and they told me, here is my matatu, please brand them. Can you believe it?
Hebu leta your till number ama inaitwa pay bill.
Inaitwa
Ngwana hapa.
Till number, the pay bill ni 78.
Leta kidogo haraka. Pay bill
78 55 00. Account is your name.
785500. Account your name.
Your name, yeah. And imagine what wanatumia mpaka 10 bob, 20 bob.
That's how Obama ran his campaign.
Yes, exactly.
Haya ndio hiyo kama unataka kusupport launch ya Tado ya Lance, punguza mizigo. Kama unataka kupunguza mizigo, ongeza weka kitu hapo kwa pay bill number nimeweka hapo 785500 78500 ndio
785500.
Yes, 785500.
To show you
haya weka hapo, hiyo ndio pay bill number, alafu account name ni jina yako. Kama unataka kusupport Ekuru Aukot on this launch of his presentation launch, weka tu weka, unasema nanua t-shirt mbili au watu wawili wamevaa t-shirt, unasema nunua kofia moja mtu amevaa kofia namna hiyo pole pole na sherehe sitaiva
tunulie mafuta ya gari
ama mauta sababu ile imeenda tu ile alodwa.
Lazima tufikishe ujumbe kwa Kenya.
Lazima tusongeshe wote pamoja. Kitu tukasema we wish to be fangama na uzaya. Wamesema kuna men black karibu. Basi njuguna when they are highly pressed to speak, they would defend themselves by saying their opponents organize violence to win sympathy. Haya, hiyo puzi ya violence tumesema tunaacha. Tafadhali tunachanga mambo ya 31st. Joel Rama sema love this command responsibility principle. Yes. Chairman, hiyo baby liko hapo, wekeni ka kitu ama hata maji.
Wacha nimshukuru hata maji. Wacha nimshukuru chairman. Baadaye chairman tayari amenitumia message, amesema nimtumie price ya t-shirts. Ala. Yeah. Bas. Hata design zimemtumia tayari.
Haya, play like you. Namna hiyo alafu sherehe inanoga. Tunakuwa na sherehe. Kwa hivyo baby number ndio hiyo hapo. Kama uko na namba ya Daktari Ekuru pia nataka kumuongeza direct. Kama if you need his number you can inbox me. Nikupea namba kama unataka kumzungumzia directly, uweze kuongea pamoja na basi. Uweze kuona vile unaweza msaidia. Ndio hivyo. And this is how we build a nation.
Why are you forgetting we talk that umeamua pia utafanya hold live?
Mimi niko. We'll stream the event live for free as a contribution to the saving of this country, and ensuring that we can chart a new way forward. We need a third revelation, by the way. Tulifanya ya kwanza ilikuwa ya mkoloni.
Actually, this is fourth.
Tukafanya ya pili ilikuwa gani? Ya
the first one was about independence. The second one was multi-party.
Yes.
Then the constitution. Then we are.
Sasa tunataka ya nne. Sasa wale majamaa ambao tulifukuza wakoloni tukawapea ndio wamekuwa wakoloni wa leo.
Na ndio wametuleta.
So we need a liberation.
But they don't forget what Wanaina made a very powerful point. That when the Muzungus were leaving, they wanted to leave Kenya in the hands of loyalists.
So kumbe we were never
political and economic loyalists.
Political and economic loyalists.
So we were never free.
We were never free. Saizi wale ambao waliachiwa,
now they want to hand
over to another political and economic loyalist.
Yes, for the next 6 years.
So wamesema kazi endelee.
Sasa unajua cha nikwambia Bitok, unajua kwa hii tunapenda kutanua watu kwa hii show. Kuna kitabu inaitwa The Africans by a man called David Lamb. David Lamb has written a book called The African, and he said in the opening, I think the first page of that book, he said that Africans deluded themselves by thinking that they had chased away the white colonialists only to be replaced by white imperialists.
Black imperialists. Yes.
This is what has been happening to our country since independence.
Na tuko hapa tunasema we are free.
We are not
free indeed.
We are not free. We must free ourselves. The freedom must begin from the mind. If you don't free your mind to think beyond your tribe,
then you can
to think beyond your parochial political sentiments, then you are not free. You are as good as a slave.
Haya. Tumebeba minyororo. Baba vunja minyororo. Haya, Kenya Graphics anauliza wapi send wave? Haraka upesi Kenya Graphics nisukumie message alafu nakutumia namba crew code. Ama naweza weka namba yako hapa.
Hapana.
Kenya Graphics nisubie inbox alafu nikupea namba ya Daktari Ekuru Aukot. Tununue tusonge, nunua maji, nunua nini. So kwa hivyo on that day we be streaming live. Mtaona vile sherehe inanoga. Tukiendelea kusema kwamba we have a fourth liberation. As you said, Ndung'u anasema ni 4. I thought it's a third one, but it's a fourth one. Now going back to redeem ourselves from the imperialists. And now this time round we get to install black imperialists. Yes. And now this time we get to install the true sons and daughters of Africa to ensure that we can be truly liberated. Until Monday, see you and take care. If you need any details on how you can contribute to the first launch of President Ekuru Aukot, you can send me a message. I love basi tuweza kupangana. This has been Atako. Thank you, Wanaina, for coming in. And thank you as well for standing for what you stand for and for speaking what you speak. Daktari, thanks for making this.
And we see you tomorrow. Tumazungumzo waziwazi.
Kesho tuko pale mazungumzo waziwazi. Ngine zaidi pia tuko kwa supu. Kuna supu? Iko supu.
Supu lazima.
Iko supu.
Wacha tunuliwa inaina supu leo.
Anaenda kwenye supu. Sawa, this been a pleasure having.
Ni tradition hapo. Tukimaliza
lazima
tunalainisha koki.
Haya, it's been a pleasure having you. Hope to see you again on Monday. Amatikizana kesho tupatane kwenye radio. Pia tupatane pale jioni Kapkirwa on Kass TV and Kass FM. Tuendelee kuzungumzia kuendeleza mazungumzo ya leo. Until tomorrow, take care. We love you.
Thank you.